Oh yeah, can you feel it? It is that time of year where you gotta scramble, if you're like me, checking the top charts of who is who for the new season of the NFL. We're talking fantasy here. Oh yeah, baby.
My favorite time of year.
Is it? I bet it really is your favorite time of year. Yeah. Well, this is Average Sports. Thanks for tuning in. This is our all fantasy edition of Average Sports with Eric and Ty. And that's Eric on the other side. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
You ready to talk then? If it's your favorite time of year, you've got a lot to say.
I got a lot to say today.
Good.
I do.
Well, let's kick it off. What's kind of the newest thing then? Don't hold back. What have you heard lately that's kind of breaking that your kind of average listener may not know about right now?
Okay, so one of the things I just wanted to do, just like a quick recap on, I guess it's still football related, but the Cleveland Browns have victory coolers. And in 10 local bars in Cleveland, upon the Cleveland Browns' first victory of the 2018 season, they will unlock, and the beers will be available for free, provided by the wonderful Bud Light.
And
to the fans of Cleveland.
And that is
for their
how you
loyalty,
do some marketing. Yeah.
To their loyalty, to their wonderful, wonderful fans of Cleveland that have put up with so much garbage over the years.
Oh, man.
So, congratulations to them.
Yeah, if anyone's been sleeping through the last couple of seasons, it's worth noting they've only won one game, right, in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Official game. They've been really in the doghouse. And I heard that Vegas is giving them 6 wins. So to take the over-under.
What did I tell you?
You picked that, but I still say
4.5.
I still say 4.5. I'll take the under on 4.5. Yeah.
So
I say 4 wins at best. That would be a good year for them. I was more
comfortable even with 6. I would have let you take 5.5 in the under, but you gave me 4.5.
All right,
so thanks for the game.
Hey, if you want to make that bet, man, we'll do that bet. So again, our topic of this episode is all fantasy football. Some things you need to know as you head into your league, or in my case, or a lot of other people's cases, a couple of leagues. Some things you want to keep in consideration as you're moving forward. Let's see, Michael Vick's not in the league anymore, right?
You should draft him along with Plaxico Burress.
So it's little details like that. Yeah, right there with Burress. Maybe you didn't know that so-and-so was out. Like, I just heard even today that Cruz retired. He's going to go join up with ESPN, be an analyst. But some of the old dogs are still around, like Adrian Peterson. What do you make of that, moving over to DC? Is it really worth even looking at?
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, that in mind, how about some bounce-back prospects? Who do you like through the NFL that could have we're not just talking about their sophomore year, if they started out slow as rookies. I mean, anyone across the board who might come back that kind of underperformed last season to do well this year.
Yeah, I think there were a couple that we obviously looked at, and some of them were injury related. There's 2 that we had on this list that one of them we're expecting huge things from, and that's Odell Beckham Jr. to have obviously a huge return to the field after a devastating injury last year, and Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen missed most of the season last year. He had one fantastic game coming back, and then he kind of, squandered all that way. Didn't have too much going on after that first huge game coming back. And then Derek Carr. Derek Carr just didn't look right last year, and him in particular, I expect big things from coming back this year with a healthy Amari Cooper, adding Jordy Nelson. I don't know that Jordy Nelson is going to be a huge thing right off the bat for them. A little old, been injured, last couple seasons, but Derek Carr I expect to make a huge bounce back year.
Yeah, I like that pick with Carr because he's got a proven track record, and he only didn't do well for a lot of fantasy teams out there because he was hurt. That's just how it is. So it isn't like he had an off year. I want to throw in a tight end also with Travis Kelce. Now, he doesn't need a bounce-back year. I expect him, though, to continue his success. So keep him at the top of your list, that short list of top tight ends you want to nab up. I think a lot of folks were waiting for him and banking hard on Kelce to do well. Even now, this is his 4th season, I want to say?
Yeah, this will be this will be his fourth or fifth season. I mean,
Yeah.
he's been on the fantasy radar since he was a rookie. You know,
Right.
most people that when they found out about him, it was middle of his rookie year that he really popped up on the radar. And you know, I mean, he's in that tier with Zach Ertz. It's Zach Ertz, Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz. So,
Yeah.
you know, he's the 2-3. We all know who the one is. So, yeah.
Of course, being Gronk.
Yep.
Let's talk, though. Let's keep it with quarterbacks even right now, then. How about a back or a bounce back year for DeAndre Hopkins? Now, of course, he's another injury that happened. He was on fire, as we can recall from 2017. Is he going to be as good heading into the season while he's healthy?
Yeah. I mean, I expect big things from DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm sorry.
I don't.
Now, Hopkins, of course, being a wide receiver. I'm getting mixed up with Deshaun Watson. I was doing that. I know. I'm sorry to throw you up there.
Yeah, so, you know, sticking with quarterbacks and talking about someone like Deshaun Watson, I like what he's going to be able to do. I think he's going to be exciting. I don't anticipate drafting him. I'm not spending the pick that it's going to cost to get the Deshaun Watson. I think he's incredibly overrated. I think people are in love with the efficiency that he did last year, which is impossible. He was throwing a touchdown every 6.5 throws. If you think in your right mind that's what he's going to do, please draft him in the third round and make everyone else look like a genius because you're an idiot.
Okay. I like the boldness there, Eric. You were very sure-footed on his efficiency not going to be able to continue on. Now, I will say, according to Yahoo,
throws per touchdown.
Yeah, he's going at the fourth pick of, not the fourth round, the fourth pick on average in all Yahoo mock drafts right now. So he's going pretty early.
So he's going fourth quarterback picked?
Fourth quarterback pick, excuse me.
Okay. I was like, he's going fourth pick in the first round? Who is that idiot? That's a tough one.
No, he's going, but still, for a quarterback going pretty early.
That kind of makes sense. I still don't like him there.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure I have my filter on correct. Looking at all players around, yeah, you have a lot of similar players, even though his best weapon for Watson is DeAndre Hopkins, who I was looking at earlier. He's going
number
at
number
an
2 wide
round
receiver
of 1.2. So at an 8 pick. So yeah, he's looking pretty promising as well. And of course, if he has a QB, but Hopkins was definitely performing to his ability last season, as opposed to that was a bounce back.
That was
for
a
him.
bounce back year for Hopkins last year, absolutely.
Which I don't see any reason why he wouldn't have be able to continue that success.
Totally agree.
Another one is QB for Atlanta, Matty Ice.
Matt Ryan, I like that for a bounce back year for him too. I think there's a positive regression there for Matt Ryan to have a little bit better efficiency in the red zone. I think one of the issues, and they really need to figure this out, is they target Julio Jones, but they just seem like they're just not well designed plays. He only had 3 touchdowns last year, Julio Jones, and that was obviously a huge disappointment for people. And he's a yards machine, but he needs to get into the end zone, and I think that's got to be a big piece of Matt Ryan also having a good bounce back year as well too.
Nice, I like it. Let's go into wide receivers. Let's talk about those guys. There's a lot of them. How long do you wait for some of these guys? And maybe I'll throw this question out there before we talk about kind of strategy with where you pick, because you're going to have, of course, the most position, or the the most positions filled are going to be receivers. That's terrible. That is the worst way I could have said that. But so going away from that, Odell Beckham, that's who I individually want to talk about first. He was a huge bust last season, as we remember. Is it worth taking the gamble? He still has Manning, but it just seems like it's, I don't know, the same old story. It may not work out again.
I mean, the thing with Odell Beckham is he was a bust last year because he was injured. And, I would like to see how he's doing, continuing to play through the preseason, in particular week 3. I want to see how that goes. But all reports seem to be that he's looking good. And if he's on the field, you're going to play him. He's an emotional guy, and he can sometimes get in his own way. but that's the typical wide receiver. He's the most diva-ish wide receiver we have out there at the moment. But if he can stay out of his own way and stay on the field, that's what I'm concerned with him is, not getting suspended, not getting thrown out of games because he's acted a fool. Because when he's on the field, he's an elite wide receiver. He's Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Beckham. Like those are the four that you're really talking about as far as like just truly elite wide receivers. So I like where he's at. I don't know that I'll draft him. It kind of depends on where I end up.
There's usually enough fans out there who do like him and who do want to see him succeed that I think you typically can use that as low-hanging fruit for other players in your draft to go ahead and get them. Because to me, that's high volatility. Not the reward for Odell does not match the risk, if you follow me there. That it's not worth an early round pick when there's most likely a still Michael Thomas, a Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, AJ Green could probably still be in the list by the time you're considering someone like Odell Beckham.
Oh, those four will definitely be on the list. Odell Beckham's going way before them, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
But
so why not go for another
saying.
running back or a quarterback?
Yeah. That I don't know about quarterback. I think I'm against you on that one. But
okay. See, I would go. That's where I stand on my least strategy when looking at kind of a high-risk player, and I think for all intents he is. Yes, he's shown he can get you 3 touchdowns in a game as a possibility, and he can be very consistent, 100-plus yards, especially that's great for PPR, but a guy like that could really bog down your team, too, when you could have drafted, Juju Smith.
No, I don't know about that.
Okay, all right. To me...
I got Juju Smith-Schuster way outside the top 10.
And he will be. But just remember, there are other weapons down the line for you with your later picks. There's a ton of receivers and a ton of talent.
Yeah, in that early on, I'm with you, and I understand what you're saying. Okay. I would go running back if I was picking between trying to pick up another running back versus Odell Beckham. I would lean towards running back versus a player like Odell Beckham. If it's someone like Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen, especially Michael Thomas, I think there's a huge positive regression coming out of New Orleans as well, too. Drew Brees is going to be back over 30 touchdowns as well. So I think someone like Michael Thomas has a huge positive regression to go along with that. So, I would consider taking one of those other top-end wide receivers over Beckham, and also same with going with a running back.
Well, I really like that as a segue. When it comes to a running back, I think if Odell on average is going out, let's see, pretty early on, kind of around the same time. Yeah, second round. That's where you could find Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette, some guys like that. Do you look at those players and say, yeah, I would take them over someone like that?
Yeah, absolutely I would, because there's more depth at the wide receiver position than there is the running back position. Yeah. And we're going to talk about this here in just a second about just generalized strategy on, where we're looking at for what to draft and where to draft. You obviously want to nab up your wide receivers and your running backs, but you really want to make sure that you're getting good value for your running backs, because there's less of them than there are those wide receivers.
And again, that high risk conversation, a lot of these guys can get hurt. You want to get some solid running backs and their handcuffs. We are talking about some draft strategy, and I'm going to pitch it this scenario to you. Here's how it's going to go down. It's a 12-person league, full PPR. You are in the middle of the pack for your pick, somewhere around that 5, 6, or 7. So right on that bubble of the top 5, because we always know Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, probably all going pretty early. Antonio Brown is likely in that mix, and Ezekiel Elliott. So where do you look for your first pick if you're in the middle of the pack like that?
Yeah, if I'm definitely more like the five range for sure, I would be looking and really hoping someone like David Johnson